Welcome to Spooky News for September 6, 2019. We've got some cool stuff. There's some cool news involving Spooky Ventures, some cool news involving Tales of Wonder and Dread, and a lot of other interesting stuff. So let's get right into it. Do ghosts have pets? One couple seemed to think so. They captured something on a security camera video of their house. They were keeping track of their sick cat, and they saw what they think is an image of a ghost person with a ghost dog behind it. They've got the video on YouTube. I'm going to put it as the daily general spooky video from our playlist on the main page of Spooky Ventures for the day this goes live. But it's also on our playlist anyway at YouTube, so you can check that out and see for yourself and see what you think. I think there are a lot of possible other explanations, which, some articles have brought up too, but it's kind of an interesting little video anyway, so have a look at that. September for Spooky Ventures is going to be the month of spooky or creepy clowns. And with that in mind, we released our first batch of creepy clown merchandise. And you can find that and all the rest of our stuff at cafepress.com/spookyventures. You just look for Creepy Clowns Part 1. You'll find that. And there are 3 designs so far. We've got some more designs coming later in the month. But lots of different merchandise you can get the designs on. Everything from drinkware to clocks to journals to mouse pads to lots of different kinds of apparel. So check that out, and maybe you find something you want to own. If you're planning a trip to England and you want to do some paranormal exploring and some paranormal tourism, perhaps you should consider going to Bristol, England. Apparently, there are quite a few sites listed as haunted in England in that one area. There's recently been a list of 100 most haunted places in England released, and there are a lot of sites within Bristol. I mean, I'm sure you've got tons of London too, just because London's so huge and it has such a history. But, for a little bit smaller place, you can go to Bristol and catch a lot of different locations in a smaller area. I'm going to have a link to an article about it in the details on this video, so you can read that and maybe plan a tour itinerary and get yourself ready to go check out some haunted, spooky places in Bristol, England. I mentioned Bristol, England a little bit ago for haunted travel or spooky travel, but there's another place that has recently gotten some press for being incredibly haunted. It's also on that list of 100 most haunted in the UK. Um, and it's in Scotland. It's called Belgany Castle, and it's actually ranked number 17 on that list of 100. There's an interesting new feature in the Mirror this week about it, and I'll be sharing that. I'm not sure they did talk about guests having experiences, so I'm not sure if you can actually stay there or if you have to be invited to stay there or what the story is with that. But I wouldn't doubt they do tours of some sort. I would have a look around at that and see what you can come up with if you're interested in visiting. If you are going to make your way to Scotland this fall, particularly in the end of October, you might want to consider heading up to Glasgow. That's because a place called the Britannia Panopticon, which is the oldest music hall remaining in the world, is going to be open for ghost stories on that day. They'll have dramatizations, music, and general storytelling designed to weave some creepy, spooky stories. So that's probably something you might want to check out. I mean, come on, that building's so historic; it's worth a visit anyway. And if you can check out some spooky stories and experience that in the meantime, hey, all the more reason to go, right? A lot of people enjoyed the Nosferatu uh, TV series that was on recently. Well, there's a new audiobook of the book itself that inspired it, and it's narrated by none other than Kate Mulgrew. I know a lot of people will know her for Orange is the New Black. A lot of people more of my generation will know her as Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. But in any event, it's getting some rave reviews. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I really kind of enjoy, quote, reading a book as an audio book. I think it sort of lends another layer to it. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy sitting down with a book, opening it up, and reading it. I'm not going to do the digital books. I just won't do it. I don't like reading that way. But I love opening up a book and flipping the pages and stuff. That's something that's a pleasure you don't get from any other format. But on the other hand, sometimes just sitting down with an audiobook is a completely different and very enjoyable experience. And this one is apparently very good. Kate Mulgrew is getting some great reviews for her reading of the book, and it sounds like something that's well worth giving a try. Recently started the new reviews feature for Spooky Ventures, and I'm going to do another older review for the second edition. It's a movie called One Dark Night. And I'm reviewing this because it's actually a movie I like a lot. And the funny thing is, if you look around, it's gotten some really terrible reviews over the years. And it really is almost a forgotten gem in my book because you don't ever hear anybody talking about it. Now, are there some things going against it? You bet. Every movie has things going against it. This one might have more than others in some ways. But the story itself and the creep factor are just so good that I think you can overlook that stuff. For one thing, it's incredibly low budget. You can obviously tell that in the way the scenes kind of switch and just some basic things about it. You can tell the budget was not there to do a really expensive feature. And they hired Adam West to be one of the characters, which tells you they probably used a decent amount of the budget to pay for him. And now the thing about Adam West, I'm a huge Batman fan from the old TV series. I grew up on that, and it was one of my favorites. And I love Adam West. Adam West was just a character in and of himself, and seemed like the genuine article. But he wasn't the best actor in the world. And other than another star of the movie, Meg Tilly, who wasn't really star material back then, Adam West probably puts in the best performance of the bunch. And like I said, he was never the worst actor out there, but he's clearly not the best actor out there either. And the fact that he really shines as one of the best in the movie kind of tells you what you need to know about the rest of the acting in the film. So let's get to the rest of the movie, though. This came out in the 80s. It's got a lot of the 80s tropes of, sorority sisters or group type thing like that, with one team wanting to fit in with the others and initiation. And but there's some supernatural side to it, and there's also animated corpses. And for the time period, I remember seeing it in the theater, and for the time period, it was actually pretty gory for its time. Sure, now it seems really tame, but everything's ramped up since then. But there are really some good scares in the movie. The story works pretty darn well. There are a couple characters who you rather like. There are a couple characters who you really hate. But all in all, it's a pretty decent film. I mean, it's never going to be something that's considered a first-class movie. I don't think it was ever intended for that. It was a B movie when it was made. But as B movies go, I'd say it stands pretty tall. So when you get the chance, check out One Dark Night. I know you may have never heard of it because it really is largely unknown. And if you go look at reviews, you're going to see a ton of terrible reviews. It really doesn't deserve the terrible reviews. It's not that bad. It's actually, I'd consider it one of my favorite films, actually. And the thing is, I can recognize the problems with the movie and still appreciate it because it's that creepy and that spooky of a story. And I like a good spooky story. And it's a little bit outside the box, too. It's not your typical, yeah, there are animated bodies, but they're not really zombies. It's supernatural, but in a different way. It's just overall, I don't know, it has a good tone and a rather original idea behind it. And you gotta love a movie that's filmed largely in a mausoleum anyway, right? So check out One Dark Night. I know you're gonna say there are terrible reviews, but give it a try anyway. There's a new video game out called Man of Medan or Man of Medan. In any event, it's available for PS4, PC, and other boxes, other consoles. But it's supposed to be very, very creepy and very scary. It's a standalone horror story video game. Um, I love the fact that they're doing a lot of horror video games. Man, I still remember an original Friday the 13th game on the old Nintendo where you were running away from Jason constantly. And that was fun, but it seems like they can do a heck of a lot more with the way the graphics are and everything now, and they can develop better stories. So that's one you might want to check out. I think pretty much everybody in the modern age has heard of the Bermuda Triangle. But have you heard of the Bridgewater Triangle? Apparently, there's an area in Massachusetts where there are all kinds of weird occurrences reported. Phantom fires, Bigfoot sightings, UFOs, all kinds of things. And in the 70s, the area was dubbed the Bridgeport Triangle. Well, now FX is doing a new TV series about the Bridgeport Triangle, which should perhaps bring it to sort of the level of, Bermuda Triangle in terms of, the colloquial usage of the term and, being spread in the mainstream culture. I mean, it's got a long ways to catch up, but it'll be interesting to see some of the stories they come up with and talk about in their series. Keep an eye on FX for that. So, are you in the mood for some Creep Show action? Well, Creep Show, the new series, the relaunch series, is going to be hitting Shudder on September 26th. They're going to have a total of 6 episodes with 2 stories per episode, so that'll bring it up to 12 stories. And as I said, September 26th is when you can start watching that. I'm not sure if they launch it for binge or if they do like CBS Direct and do it 1 episode a week, but in any event, you should be able to start getting your Creep Show fix in about then. So it's time to get your Shudder subscription going. Are you a fan of horror comedy? How about body switch movies? Well, there's a as yet untitled movie coming from Blumhouse, which will be a horror comedy about a young teen switching bodies with a serial killer played by Vince Vaughn, and it should be a pretty interesting film. They're apparently going to play up the horror side along with the comedy side, so that should make it a lot of fun. I don't know. I think it might be a pretty cool film. Certain types of movies seem to generate a lot of tie-ins with different corporations, but horror movies tend not to have as many. That might be a trend that's ending thanks to It Chapter 2. It apparently has an unprecedented number of tie-ins with corporations from AT&T to Carl Jr.'s and more. So that might be something to look out for with promotions going on with different companies for horror movies in the future. Or it could just be that this movie's so big everybody wants to get onto it. I don't know which it is, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future. The new Halloween trilogy has been reuniting Jamie Lee Curtis with Michael Myers, and interestingly enough, Kyle Richards, who played Lindsay in the original Halloween movie, she was just a little girl then. She's coming back in the next Halloween movie, Halloween Kills, to reprise that role. So that'll be kind of interesting. They're keeping some sort of a continuity here and sort of, I don't know if it's more nostalgia or what it is, but they're at least doing some good links to the original films. So we'll see how that pans out. Director Edgar Wright, who probably is best known to fans of the horror genre for doing Shaun of the Dead, recently shared some insights into a filming that he just finished up, and it's for a new horror movie called Last Night in Soho. And it sounds like a pretty interesting movie and well worth keeping an eye out for. Um, if it's anything like Shaun of the Dead, that movie was brilliant. And if it takes a more serious tone, that would be cool too. And it appears that it does. So I will be anxiously awaiting that one. I'm guessing a lot of other people will too. So there's only one movie, at least of the horror variety, opening this weekend, and it's a biggie though. It Chapter Two, which based on the records it's been setting for early ticket sales, this may very well be the new blockbuster for horror movies. We'll have to see. I didn't really myself. I didn't really care for It Chapter One. I tried to watch it, found it kind of boring. And it just didn't really grab my interest. But for those who loved it, this hopefully will keep up your enjoyment and deliver everything you were expecting. Now, if you're looking for something other than movies to do this weekend, and you're going to be in Justice, Illinois, there's a cool event happening at Chet's Melody Lounge. Now, Chet's Melody Lounge is in Justice, Illinois, like I said, and it's on Archer Avenue. It's notorious for being, or perhaps just well known for being, across the street from Resurrection Cemetery, and there are a number of Resurrection Mary stories that take place in and around the place and around the bar. I've been told that they keep a Bloody Mary at the end of the bar every Sunday for her in case she happens to come in. But in any event, it's pretty... there are some other haunting stories about Chet's Melody Lounge as well. So there's going to be an event hosted there this weekend called Parapalooza 2, which is all kinds of cool psychic and paranormal stuff. People there selling products and doing seances and things like that. And you know what? I've been paying attention to the Facebook page for Chet's Melody Lounge. This is not an endorsement, but I will tell you that it looks like they got some decent food and some good beer specials too, or drink specials in general. So it's worth a trip there anyway, I think. I'm hoping to go there one of these times. And if you happen to be in the area, I can't imagine a better idea than going for the Parapalooza 2 and checking out Chet's as well. So if you go check it out, be sure and leave a message as a comment on this video so I know how you liked it. And if you try some of the food, let me know how it is. I can't wait to try some. Looks good in their Facebook posts. So until next week, that's it for the openings for this time around. Well, that is a wrap for this week's edition of Spooky News, and we hope to see you around next week. Keep watching the Spooky News, Spooky Ventures YouTube channel for more stuff, and be sure to give us a subscribe, and let us know how we're doing. Leave comments, give some likes, let us know if there's something else you want us to do. If you want to help work with us on doing some videos, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, and see you next week. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.